I'm pretty sure most of you have seen those great speakers on TV, like Martin Luther King and his dream speech that people still quote to this day. But some other speeches are kind of forgettable. And yeah, and maybe you've wondered what makes a speaker so great that some people dedicate their whole lives to learning how to communicate properly. So today let's talk about why most people never improve their communication. Firstly, there's 4 levels of speaking. The first level is unconscious incompetence. It's like when you don't know your problem when you speak and you unknowingly repel people. The second one is awareness. Is level 2 is awareness, and we'll go through these in more detail later. But it's basically understanding the necessary skills and recognizing your mistakes. The level 3 is called conscious competence. It's basically when you know where you're wrong and you're basically consciously practicing skills with focus, even though it may feel forced and unnatural. And the fourth one is mastery, where communication becomes automatic and natural. So this is really important to identify. It's really important to identify your current level to learn the core skill that you need to progress. And from level 1 to level 2, education is essential, and it's usually one of the hardest parts. So yeah, fundamental communication skills. So there's 3 basically in total. The first one is vocal image, second one is visual image, and the last one is verbal image. So vocal image is basically varying voice volume and your pitch, the rate at which you talk, and the pauses you do to create a dynamic speaking style. And this is really important because if you spoke in a monotone voice all the time without varying your pitch or anything, then it becomes really boring to other people to hear. And if you speak too slowly, then people can start to get bored and not pay attention anymore. And if you speak too quickly, it's hard for others to understand. And pauses are actually really important because it can add impact to your speech. Like in Winston Churchill's famous speech, I think it was the one he said on the beach, that's we shall fight on the beaches. That one he paused quite a long time after he said we will fight, and then that really impacted the people listening because it made it emphasized the basically it emphasized his point. The second one is visual image. It's body language, so hand gestures, eye contact, facial expressions, and movement. So eye contact is very important because you need to look at the person you're talking to, otherwise it seems kind of disrespectful. And also especially movement, because sometimes if you're nervous and you're talking, you might fidget a bit, your hands might shake or your knees might move, and that can be a sign to tell that you're not really confident when you're speaking. And verbal image is the last one. It's basically a choice. It's your choice of words, and basically because for example, if you're explaining to a child and versus if you were explaining something to your classmate or to a teacher or something, you would use different words for every single person, and it's really important to be able to tell which what type of phrasing to use when you're talking to specific people. And it's also using storytelling frameworks and structured communication rather than just raw data or rambling. So for example, if you had to say, oh, what's bad about using screens and what's bad with screen time, you could say, instead of just saying everything without any structure, you could say, oh, firstly, it might damage your eyesight. Secondly, it wastes a lot of time, when you're on YouTube or something where you could be doing something productive, like your homework instead. And thirdly, it may impact the time you spend outside, socializing with your friends. So going into more detail on level 2, which was awareness. This is basically, so it's where individuals begin to notice issues in their communication, such as rambling, filler words, and monotone speech. And this is actually where most people get stuck, because when they realize that they have these problems, it feels very like discomforting, and like it makes you feel kind of bad about yourself. So usually people just like say, oh yeah, no, I have problems with like keeping eye contact, but they don't do anything about it because they don't know how to proceed. So that's why most people get stuck on this stage without progressing further. So how can you actually progress? So a way to do this is record and review. So it's basically where you can improve communication skills by diagnosing current abilities. So an example of this is athletes who like analyze their own performances to identify their weaknesses, and then they work on those weaknesses to improve them so that they become stronger overall. So for example, like a world-class swimmer, for example, when they're like recording how much time it takes them to do like all of their strokes along the pool, they might notice, oh, my backstroke takes the longest amount of time, I need to work on that. So they'll go on like specialized practice to specifically improve that area so that they become a better swimmer overall. And a way to do this, yeah, as I said, is self-review. And you can do this by using ChatGPT. So you can ask ChatGPT, or just like anything really, just to like do a prompt that's like, please give me 10 maybe like job interview questions, and then record yourself answering these questions without any preparation. So this captures your natural vocal, visual, and verbal behaviors without like preparing or like knowing what you were going to say before. And it's important to wait 24 hours before you actually review, so that you can form an objective observer mindset rather than a judgmental one. Because if you listen to it straight away, you might go, oh no, why does my voice sound like that? And it doesn't allow you to actually think rationally about what other areas that I can actually improve on. And then, yeah, rather than a judgmental one, and it can help you form more constructive self-assessment. So there's 3 steps in which you can review. So like I mentioned before, the 3 areas, vocal, visual, and verbal. There's a vocal review, visual review, and a verbal review. So in the vocal review, like listen to your own voice, assess your pacing, volume, or any areas where you might have been distracted. And yeah, basically if you were rambling, or if you were adding filler words, like if you kept saying a lot, or if you kept saying yeah, so then try and cut down on those. Visual review is basically turn the volume down and watch your recording without any sound, so that you can like analyze your body language, your expressions, your facial expressions, or any distracting movements. So yeah, basically turn down the sound so you're not distracted by your voice, so you can focus on the actual visual elements. And lastly is the verbal review, where you can use a transcript of your recording to identify the filler words and repetitiveness or unclear phrasing. And this is really helpful because it can help target specific communication issues rather than relying on generic advice. So yeah, like a generic advice would be like, oh, be more engaging, but that doesn't really help because you don't know how to be more engaging. And a better like advice would be, oh, you can add more like ranges in your pitch when you're speaking. You can have more pauses, you can speak slower, quicker, and that's actually like really tailored to your issues. And so level 3, like I said before, conscious competence, it's where you know what to work on and deliberately try to improve. And something about this is that it might feel like really fake when you're starting to try things out, because you might be like, oh no, I have to keep eye contact, and yeah, it may be like, it might feel kind of weird, but that's just a natural part of learning. So an example of this is like when like I was doing like singing, for example, when I had to like open my voice and to actually like sing it from like the chest, it felt really weird and fake at first, but after a lot of practice it became more natural. So Yeah, level 4 is mastery, and it's basically where you choose one behavior from your recording. Maybe you notice that, oh, I speak too quickly, and you test that on people in real life. So next time you talk to someone, maybe you go slower, and then like see who it works on and who it doesn't work on, and then like make plans and make small adjustments. Maybe you spoke too slowly that time and they got distracted in the middle of your speaking. So then you can, next time you can go slightly faster, and if that's too fast, then go a bit slower that time. And repeatedly cycling through the mastery cycle actually sharpens your communication skills, and yeah, it's more, makes it more natural and effective. So basically this is, yeah, try and apply it in your everyday life, and then review and reflect on it to see what works and keep on improving. So in conclusion, I think the main thing to take away from this is that there's like 3 main types of communication skills, which are vocal, visual, and verbal, and all of them are very different, but they all play a big part in like your overall image when you're speaking. So like varying volume, pitch, body language, and also choice of words. And yeah, secondly, just like a way to improve is to record and review like your recording, and so you can actually identify your weaknesses and find areas you can improve on, which are specific to you and your problems. And yeah, I hope you learned something. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.